Yo, what's going on guys? Arax here, and today I want to do something different. I want to talk about Gamecube games, more specifically Gamecube games that you might never have played. The Gamecube was a fantastic console. You know what, it was actually the first console that I personally owned. I've been playing games before Gamecube, but before then I had to share them with my brother. The Gamecube was the first one that was mine growing up. I got it from Woolworths, I got a bundle deal. They came with Luigi's Mansion, Nightfire, and the Zelda collection. Those were good times. But anyway, that being said, there were so many fantastic games on Gamecube, and many of them you might never have heard. So, if you guys do enjoy this video, a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think of this. If there are more games in this list that you think, you know what, why was my favourite game not mentioned? To be clear, this isn't your favourite Gamecube games. These are the games that maybe people might not have played. So if you've got any hidden gems, let us know. First things first, Chibi Robo. This game was cute as hell. I like robots. Your boy is a robot fan. This isn't typical robot. We're not talking Gundams, we're not talking Armored Core, we're talking a little dude with a plug on the back that basically looks like he's run out of the wall socket. It is a super cool concept, and honestly, I would love to see this reimagined again for Switch. It was a platform adventure game, it was published by Nintendo, and it was released in Japan initially in 2005. And of course, we got it in the West the year later. This was back in the time when games used to be like massively spaced out between Japan and the West. Anyway, originally it was conceived as a point-and-click adventure game, surprisingly, but it was then put on hold until Shigeru Miyamoto gained interest in the title and he basically overhauled its production. So in the actual version we end up getting, you take on the role of this little sort of 10 centimeter tall robot owned by the Sanderson family, and it revolves around navigating the household and collecting happy points by completing various tasks from housework to helping solve the dilemmas of the Sanderson family, various things like that. It's just hella cute. It's a fun game, and if you like robots, this was a good one. Moving on from there, we then have Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. This game was sick. Basically, if you imagine Sonic and Katamari is also one of the sort of like lesser known games. I feel like you should know what Katamari is. But anyway, if you imagine Sonic and Katamari and they had a baby, that's kind of what you get with this game. It's a 3D platform game where the gameplay revolves around growing and hatching eggs to defeat the crows. The player controls Billy, who basically can't do a lot by himself, aside from like moving and jumping and stuff. However, his abilities greatly expand when you're holding an egg, and of course while rolling an egg, Billy moves much faster, is more agile, hence the sort of Katamari comparison, and he can also perform several techniques with the egg, such as egg dunking, slamming, dashing, and shooting. Honestly, this was back in the time when I used to play a ton of 3D platform games, and this one was hella good fun. The game had a bunch of different eggs for you to hatch, 72 different eggs, no less, most of which had unique designs, so there was definitely plenty of stuff to experience. Then we had Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Now I know Donkey Kong is a well-known franchise, a lot of people know Donkey Kong, so you might be thinking, why is it in this list? But Jungle Beat is one of the lesser known games, one of the lesser experienced games. This game was visceral. It was a platformer where you basically play as DK, but you had to use the bongos. You know what? I got my bongos free. I used to subscribe to the Nintendo official magazine, and I got my bongos free. It was a really fun platformer, and the boss battles were nuts because you just got to slap the living doo-doo out of the monkeys with the bongos. It was a 2.5D rhythm-based platform game where of course you controlled Donkey Kong through a series of side-scrolling levels, and of course it had a super simple plot, but the main draw of this was the fact that you were just playing the game with some bongos. So shout out down below if you guys had your bongos. We then had Doshin the Giant. This is, look at this guy's cute belly button. Nintendo's God Sim, basically. Think Black and White or Populous, but Nintendo version. You could be good or evil. Shout out to a man like Jashin. As a god game, Doshin the Giant's gameplay revolved around typical sort of godlike abilities and tasks, such as altering the geography, managing natural disasters, or answering prayers from simulated worshippers. The idea is that you basically have to either help or hinder the island's inhabitants, and doing so cause the villagers to either release love or hate, which Doshin then absorbs, and the two feelings cancel each other out, but if he gets enough of one type, he will grow in size. So Doshin is the love giant, a yellow sort of futureless giant with a happy face, and a few sort of strands of hair, but Jashin is known as the destructive force of the natives, who sort of opposes Doshin's nature. Basically, God Sim, just with a funny, more sort of cute aesthetic. We then had Battalion Wars. Did you guys play this? I thought this game was awesome. It was a real-time tactics game set in the Advance Wars universe with a cute story and cute characters. It was kind of like Pikmin in some aspects, where you could assign your squad to different tasks and then actively control a specific group of them. The game only featured a single-player campaign, played from a third-person perspective, in which you kind of take control of a variety of different units from the battalion to sort of complete a series of missions, but it had a mixture of elements from both third-person shooters and real-time tactics games, and in each of the missions, you basically had to complete a series of different objectives, earning sort of rank as you go for this sort of final score. Honestly, it was a lot of fun, and again, if you guys enjoy Advance Wars but wanted a different spin on it, this was hella cool. Then moving on from there, we had Four Swords Adventure. Now this one, okay, admittedly, this is definitely one of the ones in this list you probably might have played. However, it is also one that people can have skipped over because you needed a Game Boy Advance as well as the GameCube link cable and 4 friends. So it was kind of like a slightly higher barrier to entry, but I had so much fun with Four Swords to the point where like I really want a new Four Swords game. If they could bring out Breath of the Wild 2 and just be like, surprise, there's a co-op mode where you can run around the world with 3 other friends as 4 different links, or just like Guardians, different things like that, that would be hella cool. But Four Swords is, if you guys saw my recent Top Zelda Games video, you'll know that that was actually up there in one of my Top Zelda games. And honestly, this was just fantastic. It's everything you love about Zelda, but playing with your homies, and also it was hella chaotic. When I tell you, dungeons used to take a long time to get through because my friends would pick me up and throw me down the pit. It was a nightmare, but it was also hella fun. We then on the list have Ikaruga, arguably one of the most iconic shoot-em-ups out there and one of the best bullet hells known to man. Developed by Treasure, who were known for Sin and Punishment and Gunstar Heroes. Whilst it's technically not like a GameCube exclusive, it did definitely deserve a place on this list, so we figured we'd mention it. In fact, I actually first played it on Xbox, but regardless, this is going on this list because if you haven't played this game or heard about it, it is nuts. It's actually the spiritual successor to Radiant Silvergun, and it was originally released in Japan in the arcades in December 2001. But the story itself follows a pilot named Shinra as he battles an enemy nation using a specifically designed fighter, but the really cool mechanism in the game is the color switching element. All the elements and bullets in the game are either black or white. Bullets which are the same color as the player are absorbed, while the others will kill the player. So the game features both single and cooperative modes, but basically you're just like dodging between and switching colors to try and absorb this bullet hell. After that, we have PNO3. This one's a weird one. It's the only game out of the infamous Capcom 5, which is still a GameCube exclusive. It features some weird-ass mechanics and a thick plot, but without this game, we would never have seen Vanquish. PNO3, or Project Number 3, is a third-person shooter developed and published by Capcom for the GameCube. It was set in a space colony compound, and the game follows a female mercenary fighting against berserk robots. It was designed by Shinji Mikami, and to avoid similarities with Devil May Cry and Resident Evil, the game designers emphasized defensive and rhythmic maneuvers and a more sort of feminine game world. The player controls Vanessa Z. Schneider, a freelance mercenary working on a colonized planet, and she is contracted by a mysterious client to destroy Computerized Armament Management System, or CAMS, robots that have basically gone berserk. Essentially, if you like your third-person action games, then this one had some fun elements to it, and it's definitely been lost in the archives. Then, moving on from there, we have Baten Kaitos. This game was awesome. You controlled a party of characters, and you played as yourself, an unseen guardian spirit, which was used as both a battle mechanic as well as a really cool narrative device where characters would speak to you directly. It was developed specifically for the GameCube due to its lack of JRPGs in its library, and the game was generally well received by critics, but it received sort of lukewarm sales. Despite this, a prequel, Baten Kaitos Origins, was actually greenlit and released at the end of the GameCube's lifespan, receiving a similar reception. Outside of the cancelled Baten Kaitos DS, no further entries have been announced since then, but with the team now largely speaking focusing on other projects like Xenoblade Chronicles, then it would be safe to assume that we wouldn't be seeing this again. However, in the years following, Monolith Soft staff have mentioned a desire to return to the series should the opportunity ever arise. And then finally we have Eternal Darkness. This was a duppy game, no thank you, I don't like the spooky spooks, but you played as 12 characters in different locations and periods of time, but you had to manage a sanity meter. The game basically set the template for games like Amnesia, so if you're into those kind of games, then it's definitely one you shouldn't sleep on. It's a psychological horror game, it's an action-adventure game, developed by Silicon Knights and published by Nintendo, and it used the theme of cosmic horror. It was actually originally planned for the N64, but it was switched to the GameCube for development and released in 2002. It's the first M-rated game published by Nintendo, as well as their first game released after Satoru Iwata became president of Nintendo. So there you have it, a little list of some GameCube games that you might not have played, maybe even haven't heard of. Some of them, okay, you probably would have heard of, but regardless, that is a lesser known list of GameCube titles. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. If you don't agree with stuff on the list, let us know down below. What other games do you think maybe people haven't played on GameCube, maybe don't even know about? I want to hear about them. But either way, thanks for watching. If you guys missed some of our recent videos, be sure to check out this one and keep it locked for plenty more.